Hello everyone and welcome back to Genie Crafts. So today's video is about how to do a text paper cut. It has been on my to-do list for quite some time and I have got many requests to do one video on how to cut text. So here we are with this video, and guys, let's get started. So the first thing that you need is a template. This poem I have selected from internet, and I have created this beautiful floral simple border around the text, and to ensure that the text is interconnected, I have created a straight line under each of the line of the text. Also, this printout is flipped, that is mirror image of the text, so that after you are done cutting it, it comes out as the actual orientation. Now the first step in doing the paper cutting is to cut the loops inside the letters, that is that enclosed areas inside the letters. Now this is what we are doing is actually a paper cutout. If you are doing a paper cutout, then you remove all these loops, that is the space inside a O or B or D or capital letters, etc. But if you are doing a paper cut, then in that case you preserve those areas. So I'll do a separate video on paper cut of text. This is paper cutout of text. So that will be the first step. You are going to remove all these enclosed areas that you see inside the letters, and the knife that I have chosen for this is OLFA paper cutting knife. This is fairly straightforward thin paper, so you can choose any knife that you want, whatever you are comfortable with. But this is slightly intricate design of the letters that I have chosen, so you might need to select a blade that is a little shorter in length and allows you better control. I have the DAFA knife also, but my blades have got finished. Otherwise I would have used the DAFA pen knife, which is most suitable for this kind of paper cutting. It's not necessary that you have to choose this complex font of text. You could have chosen any simple font also, but this font allows me to display all the intricacies of text based paper cutting, and hence I have gone with this particular font. So as you can see that I am removing the enclosed areas first. I'm not touching anything outside. The first step is to remove these areas, because if you cut outside the letters first and then you go on to remove the inside of those letters, it becomes very difficult, because as you can see that the thickness of these letters is very thin, and once you have cut outside of those letters, it will become nearly impossible to cut the inside of the letters without damaging it. In fact, even though I followed my own process, I still damaged quite a few letters at the end, but that's okay. Majority 99.99% of my entire text cut came out pretty much perfect. So remove the enclosed areas first, which not only include the enclosed areas between the letters, it also includes the enclosed areas created by the straight line under the text and the letters. So remove everything that is not interconnected. So here we are almost done with the first line of the text, and once you flip the paper, you will see that all the cuts for the enclosed disconnected areas are completed. Similarly, you have to do it for rest of the lines. You can roll a pen or a pencil to smoothen out the edges, which will increase the beauty of the final cut. I have done rest of the cuts for the internal areas of the camera, and here we are with how it looks from the back side right now. Obviously you cannot see anything right now besides those cuts. The logical next step is to cut the outside of the letters, but the moment we'll do that, the entire template is going to become very fragile. So first I'm going to do the borders, and once I'm done with the borders in the floral design, only then I'm going to start cutting with the outside of the letters. Remember, outside of the letters have to be cut at the end, because the letters will always be on a line or some interconnected lines, and the moment you'll cut the letters, your entire template paper is going to become very fragile. So ensure that you are done with the rest of the cuts except the most outside border, and only then you proceed towards the letter. So as you can see that I'm doing the cuts in the border area first, and once I'm done with that, only then I'll proceed to the text area for the remaining cuts. Once again, I have done majority of the cut on the border design of the camera, because there is not much to explain there. You just need to remove the white areas, which are fairly straightforward, as the design of the border is very simple. And here we are with the last piece that is remaining. Once you're done with it, then we will move towards cutting out the actual most complex part of this design, the outlines of the text. Now it's time to cut the outline of the text, and we are going to go line by line. You do not jumble up that you do one line in between then one line at the top. Please don't do that. Your template is going to tear up immediately the moment you start doing it. So do it line by line. Pick up either from the top or from the bottom and start towards the other end from there. Now there is a trick to cutting outlines of the letters, especially this is small. If they are big letters, then you may not face this challenge, but with smaller letters you will see that normally we hold the blade or the knife at a 45-degree angle when we are doing the cutting. But when we do that, at times the starting point is always correct, but the end point there will always be some undercut. So when you are going to remove the paper, it is not going to come out cleanly and you might tear up. Also, in very intricate and very closed up areas, you will find it very difficult to do it accurately. So there is a trick to it, and you will see that I'm employing that trick right now, that instead of holding my knife at a 45-degree angle, I'm making it more vertical. The more vertical you make your knife, the more usage of the tip of the blade is there and more accurate your cuts are. Also, if you're not able to do a cut by dragging the knife, the cutting area is so small that you just need to cut and then move, then rather than dragging your knife or sliding your blade across the paper, a better approach is to pierce the paper with the tip of the knife, pull out the knife, move your knife slightly towards the next area, then pierce again, and do the cutting this way by piercing the paper one by one. It takes a little bit more time, but then your cuts are very accurate. Also, when you are piercing the paper with the tip of the knife, ensure that your knife is almost vertical, as much vertical you can hold it in a comfortable position as possible. Do not keep your knife at a 45-degree angle when you are doing the cutting with the piercing method, because otherwise you are going to ruin the paper cut, or there may be some undercutting which you are not aware of, and when you are going to remove the left out paper, it's going to tear the letter along with it. So be very sure and be very careful when you are doing this kind of cutting. Holding the knife at the right angle is very important. Once you're done with the text outline of the text line that we are cutting, the next step is to cut along the line on which the text is sitting. That line is not there for you to cut on the line. Basically, you need to cut on both sides of the line, because that is the only thing that is connecting the text to the border. Now you will see me that I am removing the leftover paper between the two lines, but this was a mistake, because the moment I removed the paper, that portion of template became very fragile, as the text did not have that much body, that much substance, and immediately my template became fragile and it was very difficult for me to work on rest of the template. So for the remaining lines, what I did was that I did not remove the leftover paper after I was done with cutting the text outline. I let it there be connected with the floral border on the both ends, and once I was done cutting the text outline for all the lines, it was only then when I started removing that leftover paper. That ensured that the only action remaining was just to remove that paper, and everything else was already done. Another action that I performed before removing the empty space between the lines was to cut along the border also, because had I removed the empty space first and then I had proceeded to cut the borders, it would have been difficult, because all these texts are connected only via thin fragile lines, and it would be very difficult to maintain the integrity of the entire design. So as you can see that I'm cutting along the border and removing as much space as possible along the border, and then move towards removing the empty space between the lines. We are almost done cutting along the border, and now it's time to remove the empty border space. And once we are done with that, then we will move towards the final part of this paper cut, that is removing the empty space between the lines, as everything else is done and that is the only part remaining, so that after removing the lines there is nothing much left to do, and even if the final cut is fragile, it's okay, because we are done with the paper cut. Now it's time to remove the empty space between the lines, and like I said before, I had left one element uncut for each line, and the element that I chose to not cut during cutting the outline of the text was to cut the outline of the line on which the text is sitting. So as you can see that I'm doing that right now, and I'm doing it extremely slowly, because I know that this is a very thin line, and the moment I gather speed in cutting, it is going to put stress on the line and it is going to tear it up. So once you are done cutting on the sides of the lines, then with the help of the paper cutting knife, some forceps, and with your fingers, you are going to carefully remove the empty space between the lines. If you feel at any point that it is getting stuck, the paper is not coming out, do not put any additional pressure. Just see where it is getting stuck. Is it some undercut, or is it getting stuck between the already removed letters, or whatever is the case, and address that before you pull out the paper. The text is very thin. The moment you'll put pressure, the text is going to come tearing off and your design will be ruined. Also, after removing the empty space between the lines, if you see that there are some small pieces of paper that are left stuck between the letters, then do not worry. If you have done the cutting properly, you just need the tip of the knife to pick them up from between the letters. If they're not coming out, then you can always take care of the undercuts by piercing with the tip of the knife again and then removing those pieces. As you can see that I accidentally broke off one of the lines while taking out the leftover paper, and chances are that this might happen when you are doing the paper cut. You may break the line or you may break the letters, but that's okay, do not worry about it. In case the line breaks, all you need to do is to take a thin strip of paper of exact same width as that of the line on which the text is sitting, and then apply glue over it and connect the two ends with the help of that. In case some letters come off, then you can utilize the same method by using thin small strips of paper and connecting the letters to whatever area the letter has come from with the help of that. But take care of all those things at the very end. First remove all the leftover pieces, so that at least you know what all rectifications you need to do in your paper cut. Here we are after removing all the excess paper, and our paper cut is almost ready. We just need to make few rectifications on the errors that happened during the removal of excess paper. As you just saw that I cut a very thin strip of paper, and I'm simply going to apply glue on it and connect the two ends of the broken line with the help of that. You can use the tip of the knife or you can use a forceps to do that connection and let it dry once you are done. Similarly, there were a couple of letters that I had lost during the cutting, or they came off during the cutting, and in a similar fashion I also attached them. Once you'll flip over your paper, you will see the text in the actual orientation and the actual beauty of the text paper cut that you have done. Any text paper cut is accentuated by the borders that you are utilizing around it, so it's good practice to always have some kind of border around the text, as it enhances the beauty of the text paper cut that you have done. So guys, I hope you guys liked this video and enjoyed it and found it useful. If you guys liked it, then please do not forget to hit the like button and share this video with your friends. Also do subscribe to my channel for regular videos on paper art, and I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Till then, stay safe, take care, and bye bye.